I'm a military kid. So when I was about 8 years old, my dad got stationed in Japan. And so the whole family packed up and moved over to Japan. I moved there when I was 8 years old. And when I got there, I didn't know anything about Japan. Like, I was too young to be aware of something called anime or manga. At that time in 1990, it wasn't as proliferated in the mainstream media as it is today. So, there just wasn't a whole lot of awareness of it for, anyone that wasn't already in some way ingratiated or dialed into that community or that scene. So going to Japan, I didn't even want to move there, honestly. I was terrified by the prospect. I was like, oh no, I'm going to have to eat fish and rice on a beach all day. That's all I'm going to be doing. Like, I'm not going to be able to eat cheeseburgers and pizza anymore. That was my kid brain. That's what my kid brain thought moving to Japan was. Like wearing kimonos all day, eating rice and fish. I wasn't looking forward to it. Obviously, I was mistaken, and those ended up being the best years of my life. At the time when I moved there, I was introduced to a number of different things that were popping off in the main culture, the pop culture in Japan, that my friends were starting to get into, and I was getting into as well as a function of them being into it. Stuff like Gundam. Gundam models were a thing, and, the various arcade games that were popping off in Japan at the time. Super Street Fighter 2, obviously, being a big one. Eventually, Killer Instinct kind of took that over, and a couple of other things like that. But the biggest thing, when I was really young, maybe I was in 4th grade at the time, was Dragon Ball Z. And I started getting into Dragon Ball Z. I wasn't made aware of it. I didn't know it was a comic. I didn't know it was a cartoon. My first introduction to it was actually trading cards. Because people would go off base and they would buy a bunch of trading cards for various things. And the Dragon Ball trading cards always looked the coolest because they had this really cool glitter on it. So I would see these cards, and it would be Goku or Vegeta or Trunks, and they'd be Super Saiyan, and they'd be like ripped. Their hair was all gold, and then there's all this glitter and shit in the background, like a hologram card almost. And I would be like, oh, this looks awesome. And like, I had no idea what Dragon Ball was, but like my little kid brain would like fill in the gaps. So I started watching, it would come on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. On some channel there. I forget what it was. But I started watching, and the very first episode I watched that was being aired at the time was the middle of the Android Saga. Obviously all in Japanese, no English. I had no clue what was going on. But turns out you don't really need to know what's going on. The story of Dragon Ball Z isn't that super complicated. It's basically strong guys fight until a stronger bad guy shows up and whoops their ass, and then they have to train, and then they train to get stronger than the bad guy, and they beat the bad guy. Wash, rinse, and repeat. The Cell Saga introduced a few time travel components to it that kind of made it a little more interesting, but you don't even really need to know that much. We were told that Trunks was from the future, and we accepted it. We were just like, okay, he's from the future, cool. And then everything else just played out as normal, just strong guys fighting, and it always looked cool. Like, the combat scenes always looked cool. Like, we were into Dragon Ball Z at that time. I loved the Cell Saga. I loved, when Gohan lost his shit after the android got crushed, after his head got crushed. What was it, 16? I love that. I love that song, that Japanese song that was playing during all that while tears are flowing out of his eyes, and the Kamehameha he does with the spirit of Goku behind him and all that. It was all super fucking rad. And I was like, oh, this is awesome, man. This is. I need more of this. I need to get more of this. And of course, after the Cell Saga, they did a little time skip. Gohan is older, and he's the Great Saiyaman and all that sort of stuff. And there was some cool stuff too, but this introduces the Majin Buu saga. And this is where my Dragon Ball fandom kind of fell off a little bit, right? Because I moved away from Japan during the middle of the Majin Buu saga. The first part of that saga was fascinating to me. I liked the whole World Martial Arts tournament, and then there's a wizard all of a sudden, like a wizard's involved, and you had Majin Vegeta, and that whole thing was pretty cool. And then Vegeta perishes and has like some semblance of humanity towards the end and all of that, and it's cool. That stuff's cool. But the Majin Buu saga in and of itself drags on for so long and is so dull. Majin Buu sucks as a villain. I never really liked him, didn't get ingratiated to him, not any version, not the fat Buu, the skinny Buu, the kid Buu, they all suck. I just wasn't feeling it at all. So I never ended up watching Majin Buu the whole Majin Buu saga at that time. I just kind of was like, whatever, I'm done. And then I just started hanging out with anime snobs who hated Dragon Ball Z. And while I never defended Dragon Ball Z and I never attacked it, I just kind of let them have their moment. Like, all right, I guess Dragon Ball Z is kind of childish and sucks, and well, whatever. I'll just not talk about it anymore. A few years after that, I tried to figure out what happened at the end of the Buu saga. I wanted to watch it, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna watch the Majin Buu saga. And the same thing happened. I just lost interest and just, whatever. This saga sucks, and never was able to finish watching it until now. So a couple weeks back, I started binge watching Dragon Ball Z Kai. And thank God for the existence of that show, because it's an abridged version of all of the sagas, even though it doesn't feel like it once you get to the Buu saga. It feels like they didn't abridge jack shit in that one, but you can definitely tell they shortened the earlier sagas, which makes it much, much easier to digest. And I had a lot of fun revisiting all of that. The Raditz, the arrival of Raditz and Vegeta, that was all cool. The Frieza saga was really cool. Watching the Android saga was awesome again. Still probably my favorite one. I loved all of it, and it gave me so many nostalgic pings watching the Android saga. It was just so great. And then I was like, okay, so I'm actually going to watch all of the Buu saga, because I haven't actually watched any of it. I don't know shit about it. And I did. And it was a long, tough slog. It was hard. It had some great moments towards the end, sure. I like what they did with the Mr. Satan character. That was awesome. But, it was still a slog, but I finally got through it. And I have to tell you, the way that Dragon Ball Z ends is deeply, deeply disturbing to me. Like, I finished watching it last night. I was literally lying in bed. My sleep medication was kicking in. I was being tugged into the nether realm in my mind, like about to sleep the sleep of 1,000 princes. But I didn't want. I knew I was on the last episode, and I was like, no, I'm gonna finish this episode, then I'm gonna fall asleep. So I'm forcing my way through the tug of unconsciousness to finish this story. And man, it ended in such a disturbing way. So basically what happens is there's a time skip after Majin Buu is defeated and everybody's brought back from Earth, and they're all their memories of Buu was wiped away. And there's a time skip. Everybody's a little bit older. Buu is living with Mr. Satan. Fat Buu is living with Mr. Satan, and they're having their little pal, their buddy cop kind of relationship or whatever. And Goku's training with Goten, and all this other sort of stuff. It's pretty peaceful, and that's fine. I like this version of Dragon Ball. You get to see them go to Bulma's party, and Goku's having an adventure with like an egg, and it's weird, but it's like, okay, that's weird, but that's Goku weird. Then they do a World Martial Arts Tournament again. And it's like, they really got to stop doing this shit, because every time they do a World Martial Arts Tournament, something terrible, terrible happens to them. But they keep endeavoring with this. They're doing a World Martial Arts Tournament, and Goku mentions that there's a really strong person that he wants to fight. So he's going to enter the tournament. And it's like, okay, well, we're going to do this again. They enter the tournament after, some inconsequential moments of suspense occurs. They reveal who this strong character is, and it's this little kid named Oob, which Goku reveals is the good reincarnation of Kid Buu. Before he destroyed Kid Buu, Goku was like, I wish you could come back as a good person so we can have a proper fight without destroying anyone. King Yemma grants this wish, and Buu is reincarnated as a human on Earth with all of his powers, but he's a good kid. He's good at heart, whatever. So Goku realizes, he feels his energy, realizes who it is, and he goes to the tournament to just kind of test his strength. And, they fight for a little bit, and then Goku is like, I was right. It is you. And then out of nowhere, he's like, I'm going to train you. I'm going to live with you in your village. So let's go. And it's literally like, okay, you know what? I gotta just show you. It's easier to show the complete and total insanity of this random ass, super fucking creepy ending, because basically Goku kidnaps a kid. He basically kidnaps a child, is like, I'm going to live with you now. And flies off, steals him from the world tournament, martial arts tournament, and flies off. And now, granted, he's taken him back to his village, so I guess it's not like a total kidnapping, but close enough to a kidnapping. He runs away with the kid, and that's already disturbing. And even more disturbing is, the look on Goku's face when he's describing like his joy at being able to fight this kid, like he makes the same perverted face that Master Roshi makes when he's like sexually assaulting Bulma. He has that same vibe, and it's like, what the fuck are you gonna do with this kid, dude? Like, and I don't mean that in like the creepy way. Like, it's like his own little sexual fetish is like just fighting. You know, that like you get the sense that like this is the ultimate message of Dragon Ball Z is that Goku is not really a good guy. Like his like fighting is his sexual fetish. Like this is his Master Roshi moment. You know, and more disturbing than that is that like this is the last scene of Dragon Ball Z. I know there's GT and all this other shit. Nah, I'm not gonna get into that. But like ostensibly for the last scene in Dragon Ball Z, Goku steals this kid and like all of his friends and family, with the exception of like Vegeta and Piccolo, because I guess they are similarly minded to Goku, they're disturbed by it. They're like, what are you doing? Like Chi-Chi is like, are you really leaving me again? And it's like, where are you going? You can't do this. Like they're all like upset by it. And they're disturbed, and he just does it anyways. Like, it's like, oh my god, this is fucking harrowing. This is a harrowing ending for this. And then, like, you really get the understanding, like, at the end of this, like, Goku has a problem. This is like an addiction. This is like a really bad addiction that's like destroying his family life. It's destroying his friend circle. It's like, it's bad. It's really disturbing. Let me just show you.
Well, let's boogie.
See, he just shows up on this kid. He's like, let's boogie, get on top, mount me, kid. He just shows up and is like, oh, all right, well, time to scram.
Okay? Yep, perfect. Now you live south of here, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, hold on. We're heading south, okay? Okay. Ready? And blast off!
Woohoo! You mean your dad's gone, just like that?
Yeah, that's my dad.
Oh, she's like heartbroken.
How could he? I'm sorry, but Goku's going to have to grow up someday and realize that there's more to life than fighting.
He seemed happy to me, more so than in a long time.
Yeah, you're right, Piccolo.
So, you're training Oob to uphold the peace.
And this is the weird part, is because like Vegeta throughout the entire series has always been the one that has been more obsessed with gaining power and all this sort of stuff. But after he died, he's died twice. The first time he died, he had nothing. You know, he was just Vegeta by himself. And, you know, he died from Frieza, and, you know, he wanted to get stronger than Goku. He hated that Goku surpassed him and beat Frieza and all that sort of stuff. But the second time he died, you know, time had passed, he'd softened a little, he had a family, he married Bulma, had Trunks, and, you know, he sacrificed his life to save them and the others on the planet. He felt remorse about the people that he killed in the World Martial Arts Tournament. Like, he had a moment of development in his final death that when he was resurrected, he had basically abandoned, like, his quest for power for the most part. And so Vegeta has the character development that you would want Goku to have, right? But Vegeta kicked his addiction. He had the same addiction that Goku had, but he kicked his addiction. He's just chilling now. But Goku is just full bore. He's full steam ahead on like getting his fucking fix.
Is that it, Kakarot? Well, you can't fool me, old friend. Yes, I know. There's more to it than that, isn't there?
See, he knows. He knows this isn't about saving the world or protecting Earth. He knows this is about just satisfying his fucking fetish.
How about it?
Huh? What?
After your training's finished and you've become flawless, how about we fight again so we can test our powers on each other?
Yeah, sure.
It'll be awesome. To be honest, I can't wait for that day to come. It sounds thrilling,
See?
doesn't it?
See? That's like a Master Roshi face. That's like when he's assaulting Bulma. Like, this is weird. Like, this is disturbing. This is the culmination of this character that we've been following since Dragon Ball. God damn, it was just such a disturbing way to end this.
Head-to-head in an all-out battle? Yeah! All right!
He kidnaps a kid for this reason. Man, and that's how it ends, really. I mean, I don't think there's anything else, but I don't recall. I mean, granted, I was falling asleep. Yeah, that's how the show ends. And after, God, 30 years or so of not knowing how the Majin Buu saga ends, like as I'm falling asleep, this is what seeps into my mind, right? Goes right through my eye holes as I'm slipping into unconsciousness, is the realization that Goku is an addict who has a serious problem. It's a problem that affects his personal life, his family life. It causes him to commit very suspicious crimes like kidnapping children. You know, it's disturbing. It's a really disturbing end to the show, and I don't know how to think about. I don't know if I can look at Goku quite the same way after seeing this ending. Honestly, like I liked the earlier episode. I think the episode prior to this was they were going to Bulma's party, and you know I like that. You know he had his own little adventure trying to save the egg with the pterodactyl and all that. You know that was fine, but I'm disturbed by the ending. It bothers me. I wish I hadn't known about it. I've heard of the Oob character. I forget how the character is actually, you know, developed going forward. Because I never watched Dragon Ball GT, and what I've seen so far of Dragon Ball Super, I don't think he's been in it. I've only seen like 30 episodes or something of Super, and I wasn't really expecting that either. I wasn't expecting him to steal a kid and run off and O-face over the idea of, you know, fighting this kid later on down the line. Like that was the whole reason for him to like do this. While his family is pleading with him to like not go, to like, I guess that part this takes place, I guess that takes place right before he just flies to this kid. Yeah, he's flying. He flies to Oob here after telling his family he's gonna abandon them again. And then and ignores their pleas to not do it. So I just wanted to talk about that for a bit because I was disturbed by it. That's what I fell asleep to last night. And when I woke up this morning, that was the first thing that came to my head was, God damn, Goku really just stole a kid. This was also like a revelation to me. It was like an epiphany where this character that I've been aware of since I was 8 years old, you know, and I was a fan of for all of this time and watching Dragon Ball Z and all this other, playing the games. Like I'm intimately aware of the Goku character. This was an epiphany moment for me where I was like, oh, this character is deeply, deeply disturbed. Like this isn't like normal shit. Like this is weird. This is weird. He's kidnapping kids and having like Master Roshi faces over the idea of like living with them and training with them and fighting them. It was when I realized that, yeah, he's an addict. He's a vicious addict who is spiraling ever deeper into his insatiable addiction. I'm gonna retcon it from my brain. That last episode did not happen. The final episode of Dragon Ball Z was Bulma's party, and that's that. Move straight to Super. Which is what I'm going to get back to. So I had to get that off my chest because it was bothering me. It bothered me as it was the last thing I saw before my eyes shut, and it bothered me as it was the first thing I thought about with my eyes open. So got it off my chest. See you later, everyone.